Welcome to AI Deen Vision. I am guiding you through the magnificent chapters of Islamic history. Today we delve into the life and reign of one of the Ottoman Empire's most crucial, yet often overlooked rulers, Sultan Bayezid II, a man whose wisdom, patience, and diplomatic acumen would prove vital during a period of unprecedented challenges both within and beyond Ottoman borders. Between the legendary conquests of his father, Mehmed the Conqueror, and the vast imperial expansion under his son, Selim the Grim, stands Bayezid II, the ruler who consolidated power, reformed governance, nurtured culture, and preserved the empire during turbulent times. Today's episode explores how Bayezid II mastered the delicate balance between addressing internal conflicts and managing external pressures. A masterclass in leadership that would preserve and strengthen the Ottoman legacy for generations to come. Rise to power and early challenges. The year is 1481. The mighty Mehmed II, conqueror of Constantinople and architect of Ottoman imperial power, lies dead. The empire stands at a crossroads. Two sons emerge as contenders for the throne: Prince Bayezid, governor of Amasya, and Prince Kim, governor of Karaman. Bayezid was known for his piety, intellectual pursuits, and administrative skills. Sem, younger and more charismatic, was beloved by many for his warrior spirit that reminded the people of their late sultan. The stage was set for what could have been a devastating succession crisis. The Janissary Corps, the elite Ottoman military force, played a decisive role in these early moments. Grand Vizier Kahramani Mehmed Pasha initially concealed news of Mehmed II's death while secretly favoring Prince Sem's succession. However, when word reached the Janissaries, they revolted, demanding Prince Bayezid take the throne. Janissary commander said, "The empire needs stability, not adventures. We stand with Prince Bayezid." Bayezid moved swiftly. While stationed in Amasya, approximately 300 miles from Constantinople, he made the journey to the capital in record time. On May 22, 1481, at the age of 34, Bayezid was proclaimed Sultan Bayezid II, becoming the 8th Ottoman Sultan. His first act was politically shrewd and personally painful. He doubled the customary accession payment to the Janissaries, securing their loyalty, while simultaneously issuing orders for increased military readiness. Bayezid understood that his brother Sem would not relinquish his claim to the throne without a fight. The civil war between Bayezid and Sem often gets overlooked in Ottoman history, but it was critical in shaping both Bayezid's reign and Ottoman relations with Europe for nearly 15 years. Just weeks after Bayezid's coronation, Prince Sem mobilized his supporters in Anatolia, declaring himself the rightful sultan. The brothers clashed near Bursa, with Bayezid's forces emerging victorious. Sem fled eastward, eventually seeking refuge with the Mamluk Sultanate in Cairo before making his most fateful decision, turning to the Knights of Rhodes for protection. This began one of the most fascinating diplomatic episodes of the 15th century. The Knights of Rhodes, sworn enemies of the Ottomans, recognized Sem's immense value as a political hostage. Soon, Sem was transferred to France and later to papal custody in Rome, becoming a pawn in European politics. For Bayezid, this presented a complex diplomatic and security challenge. His brother, a legitimate claimant to the throne, was now under the protection of European powers who could, at any moment, launch a campaign to install Sem as a puppet sultan. Sultan Bayezid II said, "Send forth envoys to Rome. Tell the Pope we are prepared to pay 40,000 gold pieces annually for my brother's continued comfortable captivity. It is a small price for the empire's stability." Send forth envoys to Rome. Tell the Pope we are prepared to pay 40,000 gold pieces annually for my brother's continued comfortable captivity. It is a small price for the empire's stability. This arrangement, essentially paying Europe not to use Sem against him, would continue until 1495. Each year, 40,000 gold pieces flowed from Constantinople to Rome, demonstrating Bayezid's pragmatic understanding that sometimes gold is more effective than swords. Internal reforms and consolidation. While managing the Sem crisis, Bayezid turned his attention to the empire's internal affairs. Unlike his conquest-focused father, Bayezid realized the empire needed stability and administrative reform to digest its recent rapid expansion. Bayezid inherited an empire that had more than doubled in size under his father, but rapid conquest brought challenges: diverse populations, overextended resources, and administrative systems struggling to keep pace. Bayezid's approach was methodical and thoughtful. He initiated comprehensive tax reforms, seeking to rationalize the chaotic collection systems that had developed during rapid expansion. He regularized the Timar system, the Ottoman land grants given to military officers, ensuring better oversight and productivity. Throughout the empire, Bayezid initiated building projects aimed at improving infrastructure and public services. Aqueducts, bridges, madrasas, Islamic schools, hospitals and caravanserais, roadside inns, rose across Ottoman lands. In Constantinople itself, Bayezid constructed his magnificent mosque complex designed by the celebrated architect Yakup Sah. The Bayezid II Mosque, completed in 1506, remains one of Istanbul's architectural treasures. The complex included not only the mosque itself but also a school, public kitchen, caravanserai, and hammam, bathhouse, demonstrating Bayezid's commitment to his people's spiritual and physical well-being. Administratively, Bayezid strengthened central authority while also addressing provincial grievances. He frequently traveled throughout his domains, personally hearing complaints and resolving local issues, a practice that earned him the respect of his subjects and the nickname Bayezid the Just. Ottoman citizens said, "The Sultan himself heard my case. He overruled the corrupt governor and restored my family's lands. Never before has a ruler shown such concern for justice." Bayezid's legal reforms were particularly significant. He commissioned comprehensive law codes that would serve as the foundation of Ottoman jurisprudence for centuries. These Kanun names codified both religious and secular law, providing clear guidelines for governance. Bayezid also revolutionized the Ottoman bureaucracy, expanding the scribal service and implementing new record-keeping practices. These seemingly mundane changes actually represented a profound modernization of Ottoman governance, creating a more efficient and responsive state apparatus. Religious challenges and the rise of the Safavids. While Bayezid was strengthening his empire internally, a new threat emerged from the east. The rise of Shah Ismail and the Safavid dynasty in Persia presented not just a military challenge, but an existential religious threat to Ottoman authority. Shah Ismail was no ordinary adversary. Charismatic and militarily talented, he promoted Twelver Shi'ism as the official state religion of his new empire, directly challenging the Sunni Ottoman claim to leadership of the Islamic world. The Kizilbash movement represented a profound challenge to Ottoman authority. These Turkic tribes, followers of the Safavid Sufi order, were attracted to Shah Ismail's religious charisma and his messianic claims. Most alarmingly for Bayezid, many Kizilbash supporters lived within Ottoman territory in eastern Anatolia. They represented a potential fifth column that could destabilize Ottoman rule from within. Ottoman officials said, "Your Majesty, our reports indicate Kizilbash sympathizers are spreading Shah Ismail's teachings in 7 eastern provinces. They openly question your authority as caliph." Bayezid's response to this religious political threat demonstrated his characteristic blend of firmness and restraint. He ordered increased surveillance of suspected Kizilbash communities and the deportation of the most radical elements to newly conquered territories in the Balkans, separating them from potential Safavid contact. Simultaneously, Bayezid strengthened border fortifications and increased troop deployments in eastern Anatolia. However, he resisted calls for a full-scale invasion of Safavid territories, a decision that would later be criticized by his more militant son, Selim. Prince Selim said, "Father, each day we delay, Shah Ismail grows stronger. His poison spreads through our eastern provinces. We must crush this heresy before it consumes us." Sultan Bayezid II said, "And risk a war on 2 fronts while European powers conspire with my brother? Patience, my son. The empire's strength lies in wisdom as much as in the sword." Bayezid's approach to the Safavid threat was multifaceted. While militarily preparing for potential conflict, he simultaneously pursued diplomatic channels, economic pressure, and internal religious reforms to strengthen Sunni orthodoxy within Ottoman domains, external pressures, and naval development. Beyond the eastern threat, Bayezid faced significant challenges from European powers, particularly Venice, which contested Ottoman control of Mediterranean trade routes and ports. The Ottoman-Venetian War of 1499 to 1503 represents one of Bayezid's most significant military achievements. It fundamentally altered the balance of naval power in the eastern Mediterranean. Recognizing the strategic importance of naval power, Bayezid invested heavily in the Ottoman fleet. He expanded the imperial shipyards, recruited skilled shipbuilders, and standardized vessel designs. By 1500, The Ottoman navy had become a formidable force capable of challenging Venetian supremacy. The decisive engagement came in August 1499, at the Battle of Zonchio off the coast of Greece. The first naval battle in history where ships used gunpowder artillery as their primary weapon. The Ottoman fleet, under the command of Kemal Reis, decisively defeated the Venetians. Kemal Reis said, "Target their flagship, our cannons outrange theirs. Today we claim the seas for the Sultan." By the war's end in 1503, the Ottomans had seized key fortresses and ports in Greece and Albania, further securing their position in the eastern Mediterranean. Venice was forced to pay war reparations and acknowledge Ottoman commercial supremacy in the region. Bayezid's diplomatic skills were equally evident in his management of relations with other European powers. He maintained peaceful relations with Hungary through shrewd negotiations, and cultivated diplomatic ties with Poland to counter Russian influence in the Black Sea region. What's remarkable about Bayezid's foreign policy was its sophisticated understanding of the European balance of power. He played European rivals against each other masterfully, ensuring no anti-Ottoman coalition could effectively form. Cultural golden age and religious tolerance. Beyond political and military matters, Bayezid II presided over a flourishing of Ottoman art, architecture, science, and scholarship. A deeply cultured man himself, Bayezid was an accomplished poet writing under the pen name Adli, meaning just one. The Sultan assembled a remarkable library at Topkapi Palace, collecting manuscripts from across the Islamic world. He patronized historians, geographers, astronomers, and religious scholars, transforming Constantinople into one of the world's great centers of learning. Sultan Bayezid had a particular interest in medicine and astronomy. He sponsored the translation of key scientific texts and established new medical schools throughout the empire. The Sultan Bayezid II Hospital in Edirne, completed in 1488, was centuries ahead of its time. Its innovative design included specialized treatment sections, water therapy, music therapy for mental patients, and advanced surgical facilities. This complex remains one of the most remarkable examples of Islamic medical architecture. Perhaps most remarkably, Bayezid demonstrated extraordinary religious tolerance during an age of increasing persecution elsewhere. Following the 1492 expulsion of Jews from Spain, Bayezid issued a formal invitation for Jewish refugees to settle in Ottoman territories. Sultan Bayezid II said, "They call this Ferdinand of Spain wise? He impoverishes his kingdom and enriches mine by sending me his country's most industrious citizens." Thousands of Sephardic Jews found refuge in Ottoman lands, bringing valuable skills in medicine, commerce, printing, and manufacturing. They established thriving communities in Constantinople, Salonika, Izmir, and other Ottoman cities, contributing significantly to imperial prosperity. The introduction of the printing press to Ottoman lands, operated primarily by Jewish refugees, allowed for wider dissemination of knowledge. However, Ottoman authorities initially restricted printing to non-Arabic alphabets to protect the traditional art of Islamic calligraphy. Under Bayezid's rule, the Ottoman Empire truly embodied its reputation as a mosaic of religions and cultures. Christians, Jews, and Muslims coexisted within a system that, while privileging Islam, provided significant protections for religious minorities through the millet system. Final years and succession crisis. By 1509, Bayezid's health was beginning to fail. That same year, Constantinople was struck by a devastating earthquake, locals called the Lesser Judgment Day, which damaged thousands of buildings including parts of the Topkapi Palace. Some saw this as an ominous sign. More troubling than natural disasters was the growing tension between Bayezid's sons. Three princes emerged as contenders for succession: Ahmed, the Sultan's favorite, Korkut, the intellectual, and Selim, the aggressive military commander. The succession crisis of Bayezid's final years represents one of the most consequential moments in Ottoman history. Its outcome would fundamentally shape the empire's trajectory for the next century. Prince Selim, governing the frontier province of Trabzon, grew increasingly concerned about the Safavid threat. Dissatisfied with his father's cautious approach, Selim took unauthorized military action against Safavid sympathizers, directly challenging imperial authority. Sultan Bayezid II. My son defies me while I still live? Has ambition consumed all filial respect? The situation deteriorated when Selim marched on Adrianople with his troops in 1511, effectively rebelling against his father. When Bayezid mobilized to confront him, Selim withdrew temporarily. However, the crisis revealed that the Janissary Corps increasingly favored Selim over Bayezid's preferred successor, Prince Ahmed. Janissary officer. Ahmed is weak. The empire needs Selim's strength to face the Persian heretics. If the old sultan cannot see this, perhaps it is time for him to rest from the burdens of rule. By early 1512, the 61-year-old Bayezid, suffering from what historians believe was gout and possibly early stages of cancer, faced the reality that his military support was eroding. When Selim marched on Constantinople a second time, the Sultan made the difficult decision to abdicate rather than risk civil war. On April 25, 1512, after a reign of 31 years, Bayezid II formally abdicated in favor of his son Selim. The old Sultan requested permission to retire to his birthplace in Demotica, but would never reach his destination. Just 3 days into his journey, on May 26, 1512, Bayezid II died near the village of Abalar. While official accounts attributed his death to natural causes, rumors persisted that he had been poisoned on Selim's orders. Whether Bayezid died naturally or was murdered remains one of history's unresolved questions. What's certain is that the transition of power to Selim I marked a sharp turn toward military expansionism that would define the next phase of Ottoman history. Sultan Bayezid II's legacy is often overshadowed by the more dramatic reigns that preceded and followed him. Yet his 3 decades on the throne were crucial for Ottoman development. He took an empire rapidly expanded by conquest and transformed it into a well-administered state with functioning institutions. While Bayezid added fewer territories than his father or son, he strengthened Ottoman control over existing possessions. His diplomatic and administrative achievements ensured the empire could sustain its growth and meet future challenges. Bayezid's cultural patronage produced architectural masterpieces that still grace Istanbul's skyline. His religious tolerance provided refuge for persecuted minorities, enriching Ottoman society with new talents and perspectives. His legal reforms provided stable governance for generations. In the trio of Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, Sultan Bayezid the Just, and Sultan Selim the Grim, we see the full spectrum of leadership. Mehmed built through conquest, Bayezid through consolidation, and Selim would return to aggressive expansion. Each was necessary for the Ottoman Golden Age. Perhaps the final word should come from Bayezid himself, who wrote in one of his poems, "The wise ruler sees beyond the glory of conquest to the harder task of just governance, for it is one thing to claim lands and another to win hearts." Thank you for joining us for this exploration of Sultan Bayezid II's remarkable reign. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Join us next time as we examine the dramatic reign of Selim I and the Ottoman expansion into the Arab world. Allah Hafiz.